1980s seemed to be on its way to becoming an art movement, a time rife with huge social issues like the AIDS crisis. It's also come to define many artists who professionally came of age then. That's the case in the Institute of Contemporary Art's newest show titled Give More Than You Take, a retrospective of artist Jim Hodges. WGBH News arts editor Jared Bowen recently toured the show and joins me now. Welcome, Jared.
Hey, Emily.
I saw all the pictures of this, and it looks interesting to say the least.
Well, I find this interesting just for the fact that Jim Hodges is somebody, as you mentioned, the 1980s really has become a moment unto its own. When you think of all the things that happened, you mentioned the AIDS crisis, there was political censorship, NEA pulling back funding, so artists were really having an identity crisis at that time, and a lot have responded in really dark ways, but not Jim Hodges. As you'll see in this show, he is somebody who tried to find the light in everything. So he makes these pieces, as you see here, that are very colorful and they're light, they're almost fun and frothy. I think it's the perfect summer show for the Institute of Contemporary Art. And this really came out of him deciding that he was not going to be mired in darkness, especially when he saw so many of his friends dying in the AIDS crisis. So he turned that around and made pieces that are enjoyable, made pieces that would make you think and look differently.
So what kind of materials does he use? Does he mirrors and all kinds of stuff then?
He works from a lot of different materials. I mean, you're seeing what you just saw was scarves that actually he learned how to sew from his mother and grandmother. But here he's making flowers out of coffee napkins. And this is a direct result of the AIDS crisis. It's almost as if you're looking at a graveyard of sorts to the friends that he remembered. I mean, that's one of the takeaways. And so you see him working with a lot of found material, not necessarily artist materials. I don't know if you can guess what you're seeing here, but this is denim. And so this is looking at that light that explodes through the sunlight, that explodes through clouds when you're driving down a highway, especially in the West, and you see this great landscape. And he's done this all out of denim. It's absolutely incredible. It's stitched, again, learning how to sew from his mother and grandmother. And this is a piece called Ghost, where you have this landscape. It looks like this muddy, turgid, watery landscape with the Boston Harbor right in the background there. And then you have this crystal flower coming up through the middle. And so he creates all of these pieces where you look at things very, very differently. And that's what he's done throughout the course of his career, because this is a mid-career retrospective.
Yeah, I was going to say, what other genres has he done? Because, I mean, this all seems very positive. Did he ever have a dark period?
He did. I think there are a couple really dark pieces in the show, and there's one called Dark Gate. And this is a piece that you really have to experience. So you go into this piece, and it's sort of a pine box. With just this dim light that's coming down, and you have these spears, which when you look at the rest of the show, they almost look like a sunburst. And at the end of each of those spears is scented perfume that they douse every single day, and it's the perfume that his mother wore. And it was a perfume that she was wearing when she passed away. This is a skull that he turns on its side because he wants you to experience it differently in terms of how you approach it. And then he does a lot of work in mirrors, and this is definitely coming out of the loss that he experienced. He broke one of his first pieces after the 80s was a broken mirror. So essentially you're looking at this and you're forced to look at the world differently through cracks, through little pieces that are stitched together or sliced together, as you see in this case, or sliced apart, I guess is a more accurate description. But he decided that he was going to break everything open, turn it around, and make a different experience. And that's one of the way the curatorial team has described it here, is there's a lot of sentimentality here in his show.
And so, is he still alive? I don't even know.
He's still alive. In fact, he visited the show. He didn't want to be interviewed.
Oh, that's right. You told me.
Which is why we're just talking about it.
One of those guys. Yeah. Is he just shy, or he doesn't like TV?
I think he's shy. He's just an artist who just likes to do his work. But Emily, I have to say that this is a perfect summer show.
Yeah, it looks it.
Because it's light. I think it's a great show for kids. It's a great introduction to arts, and for adults too. It's just there's a lot to behold.
All right, Jared Bowen, thanks for that. Appreciate it.